What's poppin', world? Back at it again with another video for y'all. Y'all read the title, let's get right into it. My dear black women in America. This one's for y'all. You know, and I would like to believe I speak on behalf of most good, intentful black men, black brothers, you know, on this soil. This is a conversation not to act as if I know all the answers, because I'll be the first to tell you I don't. But this is just a conversation, an open conversation, where I feel like some progress can get done, you know, out of the relations that we have between each other, right? So let me first off by saying that in this country, you know, just speaking from a historical context, there's always been hidden agendas, you know, and a lot of these hidden agendas once they're being exposed, they're sometimes contextualized as conspiracy theories, right? Some of the best lies are hidden in certain truths. So without further ado, let's get right into it. What's my point here, right? Well, despite how bad the black community is altogether, two things could be true, right? I feel like our black women are the most successful they've ever been, the most accomplished they've ever been, the most educated they've ever been. And we're the only ethnic group where our women out earn the men, you know, just by and large. That might be due to the ratio of us, you know, that's available, who knows. But with that being said, right, I feel like our black women has been weaponized against us. And I'm gonna tell you the reason why. See, now in the 1960s, and this is what I don't like, there's a lot of these, now this is a conspiracy theory, right? Now it's not to say that this wasn't going on, but I don't think it was going on at the clip that it's been advertised. And this is why I feel like a lot of black women are fighting battles that certain women of certain generations didn't have to fight. I think they just put a broad brush, and I think it's just bad propaganda. What is that? What am I getting at? That when the man was the man of the house, and we're talking about the 1960s, 1950s, there's a lot of these hypothetical situations where it's like the black man, he had all the power, he used to beat on, you know, we used to beat on our women, we used to have other families on the other side of town, stuff of that nature, right? Now, like I said, I'm not gonna say that wasn't happening, because it was, but I feel like at the clip it was happening. I just feel like that was just a small, that was a small situation, right? I mean, not small in context, I'm just talking about the numbers of when it was transpired. I feel like we loved our women a lot, right? If you want to look at a historical context. But here's where the things start to turn. At the end of the Civil Rights Movement, and it moved into the Black Panther Party, I feel like after the Black Panther Party, I think the government went in, started closing down all these industrial jobs, you know, in these black prominent cities like Detroit, Chicago, you know, that's to deal with infrastructure and stuff like that. You know, things that wasn't having to deal with college, right? You used to be able to come straight out of high school, get you a trade, and that was enough to buy a house, get a car, support 2-3 kids with your wife, right? off of one income. Now, due to inflation, right, and then also taking the black man out the house, you know, about creating an atmosphere and an environment where it pretty much eroded us from the inside. So there's no jobs. You put crack, all this stuff in the hood, and pretty much it just becomes a jungle, a food chain. People knocking each other off just out of survival. That's where that whole crabs in a bucket concept comes from, right? So as that was going on, then the last chess piece they added in was government assistance. So you take the black man out of the house, incarcerated, killing, stuff of that nature, right? Strung out on drugs, whatever it may be, a lot of these roadblocks and landmines. Then the government comes in and act like the white superhero and implements Section 8, right? Just think about it. Why has the Section 8 always existed? Why has been, you know, food stamps, all this stuff? Now, just to be fair, you know, all this housing assistance and stuff like that. The government, I feel like there's always been governmental programs, but not to this level, right? So moving on with that, now you got generational, you know, deficiencies about the man not being in the house. And now you raising young boys. They don't got their father in the house. So even if they do decide to be a father in the house, in the next generation, they're still lacking something because there was something that was missing in him that didn't get passed down to him. So even if you have a father in the house, it's not a authoritative, disciplinary father in the house. It's very passive, very just not somebody that's gonna lay down the order and keep structure and leadership, right? So when you got that going on, then feminism comes out. Feminism to the extent of, okay, women empowerment, which I'm full in support of. But here's the thing that I feel like women have to pay attention to, and it's not to take away from women's accomplishments, because black women, y'all are amazing, you feel me? Like, y'all adapt to the new norms and make the most out of it. But here's the one thing y'all gotta pay attention. If you see one gender class is get decimated and brought down, and then you see another gender class gets elevated and promoted, it's not to take away credit from y'all, but you have to admit sometimes you could be the beneficiary at somebody else's expense, right? So now you got feminism. Feminism turns into, you know, black independent, I don't need no man. And I'm not, and look, I'm not saying all black women is like this. Let me just make that clear. I'm just saying that us brothers, right? I'm talking to us brothers, right? We gotta meet our women where we at. Or where they're at, right? And what I mean by that is not to sit up there and saying allowing yourself to endure, you know, disrespect or certain behaviors that ain't been put in check, a lack of discipline, so on and so forth, right? But I feel like we both gotta meet each other where we at. If a man isn't making the kind of money that society says that a man should make for him to be considered a quote-unquote man in society, take care of his business, to a certain extent, you can't hold that against him if he's trying the best he can, right? If he's trying the best he can, that's the best you can ask for out of that individual, right? And I just say all that to say is that even if a woman makes more than his man, the man shouldn't feel as though he has to be secure within himself to understand, like, hey, all right, well, my woman is in a favorable position, right? And not allowing her success or progress or achievements to control or navigate, you know, the dynamic in the relationship. Here's a perfect example, right? The very first black president, right? Barack. When Barack met Michelle, let's keep it 100. Michelle was pretty much, Barack was working under Michelle. So she was in an authoritative power, you know, position, but she didn't allow her power or her position to basically influence on how she should talk to a dude, you know, talk to a man, speak to a man, treat a man, respect a man. Like, you should be able to compartmentalize your professional situation from your personal situation. You shouldn't juxtapose the two, because at times they are mutually exclusive, right? So, and this is just such a slippery slope, because I'm not sitting up there saying support somebody that doesn't need to be supported, but also in the same breath, I'm not saying let somebody that has a support system dictate what kind of value system you have with that person. Like, what they have shouldn't dictate the character that you get from that person. So this video is just, like I said, to open up a conversation for us to meet each other where we at, instead of meeting each other where we would want to be. You know, a lot of black children, you know, black people in general, don't have fathers in the house, right? And I can understand both sides, you know? I can understand both sides. But I just want to know what y'all think. Leave the comments below. More videos on the way. I'm up out of here.